Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I am working in my faith planner for the week of September 5th through the 11th. I have a pretty good size pile of pictures. This was a crazy week. This was the week I moved my craft studio from upstairs all the way downstairs, and on top of that, all of the children's activities and all the things. So that's what I'm going to be documenting. I am planning on using some pieces from Pink Fresh Studio today, and yeah, it's gonna be pretty simple, pretty quick, but I love these papers. They are so pretty. Let me pull this one out. Yes, please. I'm gonna be using this paper for sure. So I will put you guys on fast forward. I will link everything that I end up using down below. Otherwise, let's go. When you have a really impactful paper like this paper, you actually don't need to do a whole lot more in your memory planning spread. Normally, I love the torn paper look. You've seen me do it a ton where I tear at an angle and then I put it on the page. But in this case, it really has this gorgeous circular kind of pattern, this organic circular pattern going down the page. And I wanted to highlight that. So I cut around the circles, just general cutting, and then I'm going to put that over on the left-hand side of the page. I am only going to use this piece of paper, this one and one more after this, but that's going to be the basis of my page. Memory planning can be so simple, and that's why I love it, and that's why I will continue to do it, because it allows me to get my stories down on paper. Anyone can do this process. You don't have to be especially creative or artistic or anything. All you have to do is have some gorgeous supplies that you love, which I think you probably do if you are watching this channel. So I'm going to mimic the same idea on the other side. Again, just kind of trimming around the circles, not being too finicky about the spacing and things like that. Those are things that you can learn to let go of, having everything perfectly distanced and all of those things that we kind of obsess over at times. But in the end, when you're going back to flip through these memory planners, you are not going to notice those tiny details. You're going to be looking at the pictures and you're going to be reading the words. You're not going to obsess over whether something was cut exactly to the correct size. So in this case, I'm putting it over here, and now I have formed corners on my page. It's something I do a lot in memory planning. I feel like it anchors the page. It sets the tone for the theme. I love that the theme of this paper is kind of the imperfect, perfect life, like really finding the blessings in all of the imperfect things. And that's certainly what a lot of my weeks are. This particular week was a big week. It was the week I moved my craft studio. That made it a very busy week, a kind of exhausting week, but it was amazing. And there were things that went so well and things that went not according to plan at all. And I think that's kind of where the beauty in life is just seeing how you can use those moments and really find the blessings that sometimes are in disguise. Loving the pops of yellow that this paper is bringing out in the page. I think because the paper I chose for the background is really busy, the paper I want for matting, I need to be a little bit simpler because I don't want them to compete too much. I'm just going to kind of cluster the photos together. I'll have some that kind of tuck behind the circles that I already have on the page. I just am really careful to make sure to not cover up faces as much as possible, but I don't need the entire picture showing. I like when they overlap. It gives me a little bit more room to write, and then it shows me when the pictures are related. So generally when I'm overlapping them, it's because those two pictures happen on the same day, or they're the same subject, or they have to do with something similar that was happening. And so overlapping them triggers my brain to know that those two pictures are related. You can see that this spread is going to come together pretty quickly because I'm already adhering the photos down on the paper. Like always, we are working big to small. That's just how things work well in any sort of scrapbooking, but especially memory planning. If you started out picking out all the little details, the page wouldn't flow well. So I started out with the biggest element, which was that background paper. Then we're moving on to the photos. And once all of those are in place, I can start picking from the ephemera. So I think the ephemera that I have is from the Some Days collection. It might be a mixture of Pink Fresh Studio collections. I just love the bright nature of Pink Fresh Studio. I think it's very on topic. They have some just great words and great phrases, and so I love using those elements in my memory planning because I always want to remember it's not just about documenting the good times, but the hard times as well. I think these tabs are really fun, so I found a few of them that there's one by my daughter that says Big Mood. I'm able to find another one that has just the word Saturday on it, and I can put it by some pictures that maybe are not actually located on Saturday, but now I will remember that they happened on a Saturday. So I like the little tab look, and that's something I definitely want to do again. These would also work really well as tip-ins. So if you created a tip-in with some of your photos, then you could just add the tab on the side as a trigger to remember that that photo actually moves. Now that the ephemera is down on the page, I'm just going to grab a ruler and I'm testing out some pens. I'm trying to figure out a color of a pen that works. I oftentimes have Post-its just hanging out on my desk and they are for color testing. I do see what color the pen is, but I just need to see it in person compared to the paper. I decided to go with this green color because I think it picks up the green really nicely, and I'm adding journaling lines down my page. I do this in different ways. Sometimes this is kind of the most often used way, which is I just go straight across the page. I don't worry about the vertical lines that are part of the planner. I will just write as if those do not exist. So you can see me trying to figure out the spacing, and I just wing the spacing. I do it every time. It doesn't bug me if the lines are a little bit uneven. Again, I'm going to be reading the words that are on these pages. I'm going to be a little bit less worried about how the line spacing is going to go. I have been enjoying adding titles to these weekly spreads. That's not something I've always done in memory planning, but I like adding the title that kind of summarizes the week. I know this one's a little bit generic. It says big week, but it was a really big week. It was a lot of moving pieces happening in this particular week, and it was kind of the culmination of something I've been dreaming of for a long time, which was creating a craft studio in the basement. I'm all about it. I'm super excited. So I'm just going to take a minute, write out the journaling for the week, and then this planner spread will be done. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. As always, I will link the supplies that I use down below, including all of the apps and the printer that I use to print out my photo. I want to give a huge shout out to all of my Patreon members. Thank you guys so much for your support, and I hope that all of you have a fabulous day. As always, keep it creative.